Hey, this is my fifth time trying to upload this video. Let's hope it works this time. I've seen a lot of people talking about their mental illness, schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, and anorexia and eating disorders, bulimia and such. So I thought I'd give my experience. Well, it started, as a kid, whatever, things happened every once in a while. My dad always said that, me and my sister sort of came like pseudo-prophetic sort of things, and he wished he'd listen to us and all that. And I remember running in my room sometimes, going, why me, why me, why me? And I don't remember exactly what I got, but I think it was something. I had a little bit of OCD tics, I still do. Like if I stepped on the tile at one point in my foot, I had to step on the tile at the same angle at the same point in my other foot. So there's little OCD tics and stuff like that. Yeah, and I had a few manic episodes. Like I have a brand right here on my chest. Yeah, from the manic episode, and so that's all that really happened when I was a kid. Other than depression, I went through a little bit of depression. I had thoughts of suicide and stuff like that, but I never really could go through with it. I'd look at the knife, I would press it into my skin, maybe draw blood, and then I would just take it away, and it'd be like just looking at it. So there's that. And then when I was in high school, I think sophomore and junior year, so ninth and 10th year, I started smoking weed and cigarettes, and I basically started identifying myself as a druggie. My entire personality was basically I do drugs. Um, yeah. So the first time I did weed, I just sort of looked at this guy's yard across the street, and I was looking at it, like basically thinking how pretty it was, and that was it. That's all I did for half an hour to 2 hours or something, and then I would go home. I could walk home. Yeah, and then the first time I smoked a blunt, I had an odd out of body experience because I took like 3 or 4 or 5 good hits, holding it in for as long as I could, and yeah, so I was looking around like, hey guys, this or that. Why aren't you talking to me? Why aren't you talking to me? And then they looked over and go, oh my god, dragged me out, and I came to and gave her a panic attack and stuff, whatever. So that was my first out of body experience, and then I kept doing drugs because I don't know, out of nowhere. And I did, I think 2CE was like the most alike to what happened later was 2CE, and it was interesting. Like I watched Fantasia. It was the part where they had like the flying whales. They go through a bunch of stuff, and then they have the flying whales, and then you like look in front of the whales, and it's like fractal and like swirling psychedelic patterns. It's pretty cool. So it was like the immortality of the soul and what you can do with your life and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. Yeah, there was also music. Yeah. Then when I went to university, um, went to uni, and this is my third year trying because it's the third time that they've only let me try going in the fall semester. So I moved up in the spring the first year I tried, and things just started going crazy. I didn't have any medication for over a year until the end of that year. And the end of fall semester, I went up at the beginning of spring. No, I went up at the beginning of fall. It's at the end of spring semester. So I didn't have medication for that year, and it was a really crazy year. Um, and yeah, like it was the first time I had another person in my head, and I basically had to deal with this person 24/7, for that year basically, and yeah, just a lot of crazy shit. Like I don't know, like now I just hear like people, talking to me outside, or I get the idea that they're talking to me. Sometimes I'll actually hear them talking directly to me, but for the most part it's mumbling and just trying to annoy me, and stuff that really doesn't matter. They have nothing to say basically. And it's funny because my psychiatrist and therapist and my parents and stuff, and I don't know about my sister, but my parents at least, they they're like, oh, you can just sort of say that it's not real and that's it, right? It's like, no, no, that's not it. Sometimes that works, but when it gets bad like that, I mean, that'll happen maybe 2 or 3 times a month. That I'll actually hear like very strongly people saying something, especially when a door is closed. It's always when a door is closed usually. Um, and if I leave it open a crack, it always happens. At any time I leave my door open a crack when I try to go to sleep, it happens. Not necessarily to that point, but there's something. I always get that paranoia. Um, yeah, and yeah. So there's and those people, and there's also a paranoia of different things like social anxiety. I haven't gotten really any social anxiety until recently. And I'm surprised actually. Like I had to go up in front of the class and write an equation, or you know, do an equation, solve it, and I started pumping, my heart. I could feel like my skin crawling, And it's weird. It's like that's never happened to me my entire life, and now finally I get like the social anxiety. It's weird. And yeah. So also with these people talking to me like this, it's not like this because it's not happening, but um, like another common theme was multiple dimensions, you know, because another one of my paranoias was that language shifts around me, and so it's funny because I have like this temporal sense as opposed to like thinking about something. At least recently, I don't know, not exclusively, but anyway, so I get this idea like I'm gonna do this or that, and if I do it, no problem. If I don't do it, I get this idea that somebody like me in another dimension is doing it, like infinitely many dimensions sort of thing. Anyway, and so because not only language morphing around me, but like if I watch a YouTube video, I feel like they're talking directly to me. If I watch a TV show, I feel like it's directly about me somehow in some roundabout way even. So it could be anything honestly, and it would be like it's about you. Okay, that sucks. I'm gonna turn it off. So yeah, there's always that. Actually, for like 3 to 9 months, I didn't watch any TV or watch any movies or listen to any music or watch any YouTube videos or anything. Um, yeah, that was an interesting. It was like recluse, like doing what's it called? I forgot what it's called, but where they meditate and with monks and ascetics and whatnot. And I was a vegan for that time as well, and I still try to be vegan. I try not to eat cheese and meat, but I can't help it because I live with people that eat meat every day. Um, so I can't really help it that much because like they'll make dinner and I'll be like, okay, I'll eat it. It's not a huge deal, but yeah. Also, yeah, this one time with the whole language paranoia, I uh, I was at the Dumont Conservancy in Miami, and I did a lot of ecological restoration, cutting down invasive species and stuff like that. And I had been gone for a while, and I came back, and Dr. Evans was like, "Oh, did you see what we did in the woods?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I saw." you know, because like saw like a wood saw, and then saw. It's horrible. It's horrible. It's like I can't do anything about it. Anyway, so there's that. So like it wasn't just like ungrounded paranoia. Like it's just something I noticed. Yeah. But yeah, and then people are always paranoid when schizophrenic, schizoaffective. That people aren't like who they are, so they get like scared. Plus, you have this person in your head telling you to like hurt them because they're gonna hurt you or something, and that's just fear. You can't let that fear propagate. You just can't be afraid of things. And I heard someone outside, knocking on the door. I'm gonna beat his ass. I'm gonna kill that motherfucker, mother cusser or whatever. And I was sitting there like petrified for a long time, and he kept going. So finally, I went outside, and I'm like, I'd rather just go out and like die. and just sit here and listen to this guy anymore. When I went outside, he stopped, and his friends were outside, and they're like, no, no, he's talking about this other guy. Like, okay. So you can't be scared, because if you're scared, it just keeps going and going and going. If you're not scared, it's not a problem, because like that's the whole thing. The entire basis for that paranoia, whatever, is that fear. And like the person in my head, he's always trying to make me get scared, and is always threatening me and stuff like that. Even now sometimes, although it's a lot less. I'm on medication now, creatinine, which I think is Seroquel. I'm not sure. Um, or Seroquel is creatinine, and yeah, and glutathione was a recent one. Apparently, schizophrenics have less glutathione in their brain, so I'm taking a glutathione supplement as well. Maybe you want to try that. Yeah, and it's funny because like when I was in rehab for a while, because that entire year, that I didn't have any treatment and it was getting really bad, I was sober. I didn't do any drugs when I got up here. The entire time I was up here that first year, and um, so when I got back, I was in psychiatric ward. I had medication, whatever, and then it happened a second time the next year, and so that year I had actually smoked a handful of times, right? So they sent me to an outpatient rehab center in South Miami, and it was funny because the first couple months, the first time I came in, people talked about it. They were like, you look dazed and out of it, because I was having an episode. Like it was really like when I can only stare at like one spot. I have to move my eyes a certain place, and that's an everyday thing even now. I have to look at certain places or certain things on a person when I'm talking to them. Or like look at a tree, or if I look at a girl, like I can feel like a red thing like going after her, so anybody I look at, I usually see this thing going after them, so I have to look away, and then it stops, and it's annoying, but yeah. So anyway, the first month they're like, now you're having yeah. Anyway, so the first month, second month, third month, they're like, oh yeah, you're doing so much better, so much better. And I would tell them, no, I'm not. I haven't had an episode my episodes are getting more infrequent because I was still having them. They were getting more infrequent, and people were noticing them less, you know? And maybe they were a little bit better. I don't really remember. So I know I was still having a few, but I think they were a little bit better. But like my everyday psychoses, the stuff that was constant, it was still there. For the most part. I mean, there were like I was on medication, and I remember waking up, hearing this person talking to me and threatening me and trying to get me to do things, and all of that stuff, with my vision and stuff. And it would be as soon as I wake up, and then all day, and then as soon as I went to bed, it was still going, until I fell asleep. I was still sitting there, like sort of listening to it and responding to it. I was just whatever, and then I would go to sleep, and I would wake up the next morning, and it would be there. So like it was all day, and it wasn't getting any better. But I could see like this aura change in me, right? Because it was turning more brighter. Like the color of my hair or whatever. Like what I see sometimes when I look at like a tree or something, I'll see this color or whatever. Um, so they just it's like people have faith in something, like they just believe something because they believe it, they don't know why. It's like that, like they pick up on these things on people. It's like whenever you look at someone, you get a first impression just by looking at them. That's what it is. It's your aura, I guess. And I can see this in front of me, and I can tell, and it's yeah, they don't always help that well. Like this one, whatever they say is automatically wrong. It's not always true. Um, every once in a while, because like if you're thinking about something, and it'll try to like take it further, and sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. Whatever, you just have to have a judgment. But when you're having an episode, you don't really have good judgment. Um, yeah, yeah. So anyway, that's the development of my psychoses. I'm not diagnosed, but um, I've had enough experience to self-diagnose at this point, I think. Thanks.